Finance meeting, November 7th. It's about 6:02. I'd ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will take a roll call. Councilmember Gully.
Here.
Councilmember Garrett is absent. I'm sure she's on her way. Councilmember Territor. Here. Councilmember Cummings. Here. Councilmember December.
Present.
Councilmember Kennedy is on his way. Council President Mantello's here. We have 5 present, 2 absent. We'll get right into the public forum section. If anyone from the audience would like to speak on any item on this evening's agenda, please come up to the podium. You have 5 minutes, name and address. All right, we'll go right into the local laws, non-ordinances. Ordinance 103, ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 sewer fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ordinance 103 carries 5-0. Ordinance 104, ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 water fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Cummings. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion?
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Cummings.
There's a large addition to the workers' compensation line. Just wanted to.
There's just been a lot of settlements and workers' comp claims this year, much more than we anticipated. So it's just additional. I'm hoping it's enough money to get them through the rest of the year.
Are there things being done to make
Mitigate
the job safer? So we don't want people getting hurt.
on the bottom.
Thank you.
I know Chris follows all the safety measures. These may be lingering older cases as well.
Okay.
The demographic of them and the age and that I'm not sure about, but obviously it's a lot more than we ever anticipated this year.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen it that high.
Not in water, no.
If
But again, it's hoping to get enough funding to get us through, because I'm really tired of writing transfers, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then the serial bond increases.
Yeah, so we converted the 32-inch water main transmission in Lansingburg. That was done in 2016. That project in 17. That was converted to long-term debt as part of EFC. Part of that, the first payment was due this year. That's what that payment is for.
Okay. And there's nothing coming out of a ban line or anything?
No, it was we didn't anticipate closing on this. EFC tells you when you close and how much
Now's
you
a good
pay.
time to be closing. So.
We're doing the best we can.
And the meters, I know Chris isn't here. I saw the reduction in the meters. Why was that initially budgeted for 99?
That's the amount he had anticipated on buying. Chris's budget in order to do this transfer was tight. He has not purchased meters yet this year. My guess is he will look to purchase $25,000 worth, but that's the line that he felt could substantiate doing a transfer. I do know there's very few meters left that are not radio reads, so that's another, reason that you can pull from there.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 104 carries 5-0. Ordinance 105, ordinance amending the 2019 general fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings. Discussion.
A lot here.
Yeah,
There is a lot here.
There's a lot. Do you want to hit some of the big ones?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of run through the schedule because what I tried to do was kind of really break it out to make it easier. So I'll just kind of go through each reference number.
Perfect.
So
Do you want to, are you okay standing?
So number one, we increased sales tax $650,000. That's based off collections for the first 2 quarters of the year. Took it up to 1665. Number two, those are all savings in 101 or 102 lines throughout the general fund through payroll through the rest of the year. Number
Vacancies primarily?
vacancies
Councilmember.
primarily. So those are primarily vacancies. Number three are various savings and other expenditure lines within the general fund. Number four is a travel cost for someone that went to training in code enforcement. Number five is for paving. Canal Avenue. Canal Avenue is not eligible for CHIPS. We are going to pave Canal this year.
Yep,
Just to be clear,
Councilmember
that's because it
Cummings.
hasn't been 10 years?
Hasn't been 10 years.
Okay.
Number six, the emergency declaration, $47,900. Those are invoices to date for the storm in August, that rainstorm for Sage Ave and whatnot. That's the first round of invoices that we've gotten in, 47.9. I would anticipate that line going up. There'll be, I would imagine at some point we'll be doing a transfer for that. Number seven,
I'm sorry, Angie, that says Hoosick Street though.
that's also, Hoosick Street had repairs too, so that piece is done.
Okay.
Number seven, increase salt and snow overtime. Snow over, obviously, to get ready for the winter months. We increased salt $70,000 to allow the purchase of 1,800 tons of salt to be on purchase order through the rest of the year.
Will that be used into 2020?
Councilmember.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, right.
Let's hope it makes it to
No.
let's hope it makes it to 2020. I'd rather that than have to come back for more than 1,800.
Yes.
Number eight, serial bonds. That was just a correction of principal and interest. The net's to zero. Number nine is additional funding for temporary salaries within various OGS departments. Number 10 is additional funding for overtime in various OGS departments. Number 11 is the clothing allowance pursuant to the new CSEA contract. Number 12 were adjustments to longevity payments for CSEA.
Council President?
Yep,
Just
Councilmember.
before we move on too far, the overtime increase on streets, is that related to the paving project or something else?
It's storms,
That's the storm
the
project.
trees, the storms that we had throughout the summer,
So we've spent that already?
Huh?
So we've spent that already?
predominantly, yes.
Predominantly, it's also hoping it gets us through to the rest of the year.
Was that a declaration or no? They didn't do that. All right.
No, the storm, the trees.
Oh,
The tree damage when we had all those kind of microbursts.
Yeah, none. Okay.
Council President.
Yes, Councilmember.
Angie,
Patrick.
what's the $25,000 increase in golf course salaries?
It's just for the additional staff for the rest of the year.
What are they?
What are they doing?
Seasonal
It's just seasonal help.
That wasn't anticipated, some new thing that's gonna happen?
It was just reflective of the staffing that was hired for the 2020 season. They should be tapering off the next few weeks if they haven't already. 2019, sorry, wrong year.
So, Council President,
Yes, Councilmember Cummings.
so that similarly has, for the most part, been spent.
Yes.
Are there continued temporary salaries? Are there people continuing on the temporary salary line into December?
The golf course closes.
Sorry.
Yeah, good. Just making sure, because there's.
No more than
It's close.
Not yet.
The front nine's open stuff.
I saw someone out there.
Wasn't me.
Okay.
Go ahead, Andy. Sorry.
And then number 13 are just if you have questions about individual lines, that's just to provide funding for fourth quarter purchases. There was some staffing changes for OGS payment voucher wise. Our office was doing that for some time. We may have provided we tried to give them a little additional money for the rest of the year, again, to try to avoid doing transfers. I'm hoping that this is the big one for this year.
Council President?
Yeah, Councilmember Cummings.
So on that last page, we got $50,000 in parts for the garage.
Yes.
Is that just sort of stocking up for next year, or is that
It-
stuff that's already been used?
It's a mixture. It's fourth quarter. It's to provide funding for anticipated repair or parts for repairs in the fourth quarter of this year.
And then streets has other material supplies as well as the street lights. What's the,
So the other materials and supplies, again, that's just for anticipated fourth quarter purchases. I worked with the deputy mayor on this and looked at what the purchase orders were already kind of set up for the fourth quarter, along with the spending in the prior year. In regards to streetlights, the 2019 budgeted amount was light. I don't really recall why, to be perfectly honest. And we may have been, we were hopeful that Siemens would have been underway by now. But this should be enough to get us through the rest of the year.
so this is just payments to National Grid for their maintenance and everything?
It's the utility, it's the bill for the utility, just for the bill for the streetlights,
Right,
the grid.
okay. Well,
1.2 million.
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Cassandra.
Can we just go back to Canal Ave timeline? I think there's work going on there right now because I know there's local traffic blockage. So I see that things are happening, but can you
Yeah.
just paint a little more of a picture?
Yep, so we had the break in time because we had to do the sidewalk. We had to get the curb cut RFP or the bid out and everything. So now that's been awarded. They're working on the curb cuts. I think they're up in Lansingburg at this point. We'll do partially that now, part of it now, and then we'll finish up the rest in the spring. As far as the paving, now that we had that, Andy was able to reconcile the CHIPS account to let us know what we had available left to fund. So we're started today, literally, milling. So they've milled First Street from Ida to Jackson. That's the CDBG area. So they milled that today. They're milling Canal today as well too. And then tomorrow they'll be doing Hoosick Street from River to 6, that crazy intersection right there at 6th Avenue that's so horrible. They will be moving up to the alley between 121st and 122nd, where we had all those problems in the spring with the runoff. And then they're also going to do J Street, which is from River Street to 6th Avenue. That's that main thoroughfare to get up to 787, which is horrible. So those are the remaining streets that we'll be doing this year. And then we are working now on a paving program with CHA, the city, the engineers, as well as with the paving company that we're working with right now to develop a scope of work and be able to go out to bid and be able to identify ahead of time what we're going to be doing to follow up next spring. We were going to do 5th Avenue. I think that went out in the press release, but National Grid got back to us and said they're going to dig up 5th Avenue between Federal and Hutton Street in the spring. So obviously we don't want to pave that right now. So we revised and then we decided to do J Street. So yeah, so they're milling this week. They'll start paving next week. And then as long as the moisture in the ground remains at a certain level, they'll be able to continue to pave. They're paving now. Obviously they paid for the airport. DOT's paving, so.
And are they going on Canal Ave? Are they going all the way to First Street? Because it looked like they did a segment from. It looks like they're going from Spring Ave to.
We're doing Spring to 5th.
To 5th. That's the work that's
Yep,
happening.
and then
Okay.
we were gonna go to 4th, but National Grid has a little bit of tie-in work in between 4th and 5th to do. They weren't sure if they were gonna be able to get it done this fall or they're gonna be doing it in the spring. 4th Street's gonna be done with CDBG anyway, so we'll tie all of
Right.
that in when we do the CDBG work in the spring, for next season.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Council President.
Councilmember Gully.
Hey, Monica, on the paving, I know that we're doing a great job in the corners. I've seen that. But as they're doing this paving, they realize that at some point those asphalt plants close down. Are they keeping a good watch on that so we don't end up with open projects all winter long?
Newcastle has their own plant.
Does that mean they stay open all year round?
Yeah, they probably won't close down until, they actually do emergency work and will fire the plant up in January. I actually talked to them about it today.
All right, good. So we do have a source here in case we get.
Yep. They typically, I mean, even like across the street, across the river in Waterville, they're shutting down now.
Yep.
But Newcastle has their own plant, so they can keep it fired up. And they're, like they were paving yesterday for the airport or Monday for the airport, and they'll continue to pave. They also have the contract for Albany and Colony,
Yeah.
so it's in their best
So they
interest to do
stay
it.
active. Well, that's good.
Yep.
Just make sure we have a way
Yeah.
to not
Yeah.
leave those
And they have their own plant, so they can open it up and charge it up if they need to.
All right, good.
Yep.
That's good to hear.
For the record, Councilmember Kennedy has joined us, so we have 6 present.
And then there's no footnote on it. The balance of the amendment, 98,613, is on here as going to the contingency. However, it really is a part of the funding that's under ordinance 107 that we'll get to. But
Say that again, Nancy?
so the contingency, the increase of 98,613
Yeah.
is in there, but it's really part of the transfer on the amendment on 107, ordinance 107. There's just no footnote. I apologize for
So
that.
it'll go into contingency and then.
They'll go into contingency and it's gonna come right back out in one motion.
Gotcha. All right. Did we need, it's fine being in this.
Right.
ordinance.
Yeah, I don't like to show,
Right,
I just like to show it as one and then
yeah.
coming back out in another.
We hit a 0 at the bottom here.
It has to be 0.
We are on 106, or 105, sorry, okay? You're welcome. All right, anything else on that one? You
No.
can hang out here
Okay.
for 106 if you don't mind, okay? Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 105 carries 6-0. Ordinance 106, ordinance amending the 2019 garbage fund budget. Councilmember Cummings at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember December, do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Parator. Discussion, you want to go through this, Andy? Do you mind?
Sure. Bulk pickup fees. Obviously, if the letter came out today, just to kind of, the budget letter is out today, and one of the sections is on the garbage fund, and they talk about monitoring and new revenues and whatnot. The bulk pickup fee kind of was in the 2019 budget review letter for the same thing. We budget, when we put new revenues in, we budget them very conservatively because we have no historical data to go off of. We do a best approximation based off of rough estimates of that. Bulk pickup fees for 2019 in the garbage fund are on track to be billed for in excess of $225,000. So this amendment adds $125,000 to that revenue line, just to kind of align the budget to what's actually trending in that line. Number 2 is an adjustment to tip fees. Funding is coming out of municipal in bulk, just to kind of better align the budget to actual results, and an increase to residential for $331,000. Part of that is in anticipation if it's higher than what we think for the rest of the year. We could put it into the contingency, but if we end up needing the money, we're going to have to transfer the money out of the contingency to the tip fee line. So it's just trying to avoid doing a second, not to sound lazy, but why do it in 2 if you can do it in 1? So it's just to kind of make sure the funding's there for the rest of the year. Number 3 is reflective of the actual payments made on bond anticipation notes in the garbage fund under the August issuance, just to align what the actual interest costs were for the garbage fund share of that payoff. And then the prints, we made a $10,000 pay down on the ban that was in existence for, I believe it was for a garbage truck. Number 4 is just aligning the current personnel breakdown and bulk pickup out of permanent salaries to temporary salaries for the remainder of the year. Number 5 is various savings in 3 lines within the garbage fund. And number 6 is additional funding to various accounts within the fund. So
Further discussion, any
Yeah.
questions?
Council President, sorry.
Councilmember
Can you go back to
Cummings.
the tipping fees? Where's that coming from?
actual bills in 2019, and just to try to give it enough money for the rest of the fiscal year.
As I remember, tipping fees is sort of broken into residential and then other,
Yeah.
or
So
municipal, et cetera.
when we looked at the budget, the way that it was broken down last year for the budget, it wasn't aligned correctly. So when we got the actual billing coming in, we realized that bulk pickup was less than, you know what I mean, and than residential pickup. They had actually, I think we had originally budgeted like $500,000 for residential pickup. And then when we realized that bulk pickup was getting segregated out and municipal pickup, so we realigned all of the tipping fees. So that's why we made the adjustments as well too. So it's more actual.
So should there be subtractions out of municipal or bulk tipping fee lines?
You have them
Right here.
Or,
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
under the,
Yeah, you
the
got
top
the
three,
140
right?
But they don't equal the 3. So, all right. So there's also just more trash than we expected separately.
Right, because it was literally budgeted at like $500,000, you know what I mean? Or whatever the budget amount was in the
Yeah.
residential. So originally, so that's why we adjusted the,
Because it had historically been
levels.
1.2-ish.
but it was all in
And
too. You got to remember, we didn't have it divided up into bulk and municipal and special, like
Right.
all of these individual buckets. So last year when we created it, we had to give a best guess as to what those were all going to be. And this is more in line with what's actual.
And it looks like it's 1.17.
It's getting better.
It's definitely
Yeah.
a slight reduction.
Yeah, it's getting better. It's just, it's a long haul. And a lot of it is like, making sure as far as like tracking mechanisms go too. So now we've realigned the department so that when they do the municipal pickup, they dump the garbage from what they've picked up. They go do the municipal run. They get the slips from that. So now we can actually track how much it costs for the municipality, you know what I mean? So like we're streamlining the operations so that we get a more accurate depiction. Like when
Interesting.
Council President, when I talked to you earlier, say sanitation's, they're doing a great job because it's effectively remanaging the entire thing. Rusty and Tom are doing a great job at understanding that they have to kind of, even though they might have to take time to do an extra dump, you know what I mean? Or an extra offload down at South Troy, it's going to get us more accurate depiction of what we're actually getting.
So that municipal pickup includes all the public trash cans as well as our own facilities?
Correct. Municipal pickup includes our facilities, parks, street cans, Troy Housing Authority, and the county.
Thank you.
And Monica, do we plan to change the cost? Isn't that proposal coming forth, God bless you, coming forth in terms of picking up for commercial and nonprofits or no?
So the multiple day pickup for commercial is what we're starting
God
now.
bless you.
Yeah, the program that we're putting out now is the commercial pickup. This will align to the concerns that everybody had about the multiple day pickup issues. So that is actually being implemented with some of the commercial properties downtown on anything that's got commercial. It'll be something that we can take citywide if we want. If a commercial business or an entity wants to partake in a multiple day pickup, we'll have a formula for that. As far as like the county or Troy Housing Authority, that's essentially a shared service with them. So that's a cost that we're taking on ourselves as part of our shared services with them.
I knew we had the THA that's been around a long time, the agreement.
THA is actually split. So we only take
Okay,
a couple of their properties. Then they have a very large portion of their footprint actually is under county waste. We pick up just a few spots for them. The county building, we pick up the senior center, which will flip now that it's been sold and it goes private. Once the senior center's out of there, then that will obviously be one that will go to a commercial rate. We pick up the clerk's office and we also pick up 7th Avenue.
Now, do you plan to come to the council with any new ordinance regarding commercial rates?
Nope, it's
and
actually
things like that?
encompassed into 247 already. It's already built into that, the ability to go, the OGS commissioner can determine a fee schedule. It is literally, I'm going to be really honest with you, it's literally whatever the existing price is now, what we're proposing, the 180, the 180 times how many days they get. Now, it could be if they have, 4 units, you know what I mean? And they require the 3-day pickup, they'll get billed 4 times 3, and that will be their fee. So we're trying to make sure that they get exactly what, the fair share. It's called fair share is what we named it. So making sure that their entity actually gets billed appropriately.
And if you recall, it's something I've had a concern with along in terms of the general services commissioner establishing those rates. We had talked about that
It's the same
while
rate.
ago.
It's the same rate.
Okay.
Okay. And then we also started the special event fees. So we actually bill events that utilize the garbage. What we did was we broke down the actual rate into a daily rate. And that daily rate, then we bill them on a daily rate per bin. So it's roughly about $5. And so if the bid uses for pig out, 20 bins, then we bill them 20 times 5, and then we send them a bill for that event. Same thing for Rockin' on the River, same thing for the farmer's market, same thing for any entity that utilizes our containers. And then we provide recycling bins for them as well.
Is that anywhere in the code, Monica? Like
Yes, and
that-
247 under
I mean, I know.
it's
the
about
section,
establishing,
but-
yeah, it's right on the
Yeah.
fee.
I don't
It's about the
recall that
commissioner.
being spelled out though. The
The
actual
commissioner can
rates.
set the
Yeah.
fees on additional services for the city.
Yeah, okay. Council member Kennedy, yeah.
Which bins are we using for recycling at those hubs?
Well, the bid actually got recycling bins from county waste, so they use the big 90-gallon container ones. The farmers market has their own bins that they utilize, and then other smaller events that we do, we usually just supply them the blue bins, or ask them if they want to supply their own. They can certainly do that, and then we'll
So
take the
we
recycling.
We just pick it up.
Yeah, we still have a 0 fee for recycling, so that is really important to understand. We're still at an extremely low rate for tipping fees. We're like literally a little bit over $63 a ton. Most municipalities are upwards to 75 or 80 or more a ton for garbage. So we have a really great thing going on right now. So that's why we really want to make sure that we, keep a good lid on that. No pun intended. And then the tipping fee for the recycling is really key right now because we pay 0 and a lot of municipalities are getting hammered. So, and that's part of being a host for the transfer station. It's a balance, right? You know what I mean? So as we're making amendments to leases and items for county waste, we're really mindful of that to make sure that the LDC takes in mind the city needs as well too. Because the LDC has the lease for that facility.
Okay. While we're on the landfill, also, just for other council members, notification, I talked to Monica about this. There were some questions from people up off Colleen regarding activity, and it's Monolith and the solar panels. They were very concerned that
Yep, they went to planning.
our transfer station was
Nope.
having more activity, and there was a lot of concern, but Monica eased the concern just for
Yeah, we're installing
the
another.
council.
Yeah, we're installing another
Yeah.
2.5 megawatt up on the actual landfill, so that it's going to be a ballasted system. We've already installed a little bit over 2 megawatts already, so this will double our green energy usage for the city.
Yeah.
So it's a really great thing. But where they were cutting down trees was for the National Grid pad.
Yeah.
So yeah,
They
but
were
we cleared
freaking
it
out
all.
a little.
Well, they called the police department,
Yes.
and of course the police showed up and shut everything down. So, but it had gone through planning, it
Yeah.
went through permitting, and everything was all above board.
Yeah.
DEC's been involved, did the
Yeah.
approvals, so
Yeah,
we're all
They're
good.
good, they're
Yep.
good, but no, I appreciate that, so, okay, cool. Any further discussion on 106, ordinance 106? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No? All right, 6-1 on 106, 107, ordinance,
5-1.
or 5-1, I'm so sorry,
You
5-1,
voted
thank you.
Are you gonna vote?
Yes. Ordinance 107, ordinance authorizing the city to create a capital project and amending the capital projects fund and general fund budgets to allow funding for said capital project. Council President Mantello, Councilmember Cummings, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 107 carries 6-0. Sorry.
The chief is here. He made an effort.
Resolution 77, resolution confirming the appointment of Ann Rounds to the Troy Industrial Development Authority. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy. Discussion? All in
Council
favor?
President.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember
I'll
Kennedy.
just state that I think this is a great appointment.
It sure is, ditto. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution 77 carries 6-0. Resolution 78, resolution to proclaim November as Epilepsy Awareness Month. Council President Mantello, Councilmember Cummings. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Parator. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 78 carries 6-0. Resolution 79, resolution proclaiming November 2019 Stop Driving While Intoxicated Month in the city of Troy, New York. Councilmember Cummings, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Parator, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 79 carries 6-0. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Gully, do I have a second?
I'll second. the motion.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We
We're
are
out.
finished.
Impressive.
All right.
Councilman December, can I tell you that from here, you look just like that from that? While you're fiddling with your thing, every time you get done, you turn up and do this to me, and I'm saying, what is it?
What? What did you
What?
do?
You didn't notice, did you?
I'm,
You were
oh,
so entrenched. No, you weren't. It was a one finger thing. I'm like, what is it?
uh-oh.